Hello and welcome to the Womb Centered Healing Podcast. I'm Sama Morningstar and I have Laile Wilson with me here today. Thank you so much, Laile, for joining me. I've known Laile for a little while, been involved in some of my online programs and has been talking a lot lately about having her book published. And I'm very intrigued about the book. And we've also been talking about, Laile has been formulating some herbal remedies, some herbal teas. And I'm very intrigued to hear about your process around that, Laile, and what you're bringing together to offer as your business. So please introduce yourself a little bit more to the listeners and we'll go from there.
Hi, my name is Laile Wilson. I'm a 46-year-old single mother of 3 kings and 1 king and 2 grandbabies and possibly 2 more on the way.
Oh, wow.
I'm a spoken word poet. I'm an author. I'm a herbalist. I'm a master Reiki healer. And I'm also taking a holistic to be gifted in.
Laile, I'm sorry, you're hold on one second.
Okay.
Yeah, so go ahead. Could you repeat the last part that you said in your introduction?
I'm a Reiki healer, intuitively gifted in herbs. I just have a way of knowing combinations to put together, how to use them, what are they for innately. Now I'm just realizing I've been the definition of things, but never knew the label of it. I'm just naturally gifted in different things, and I let my spirit guide me, and wherever it takes me, I naturally flow in those things that are created in me.
I'm very curious about that. I'd love to hear how you discovered this about yourself, specifically around herbs. How did you discover your intuitive guidance, your intuitive way of knowing? What does that feel like for you? And how did you develop confidence in that? Because, you know, our society teaches us not to listen to our inner guidance, especially as women, and it invalidates that a lot. And so I'm really curious about how you validated that for yourself.
I grew up in a very dysfunctional household, so spirituality was a big thing for me, period. That was my thing to hold on to. Spirituality and mentally being sound as much as possible. My gifting, I've been like this all my life, but from where I can say where I picked up the most and I got the most confident in and understanding it is when I became a mother. And I had to sit down and pick a career. And people take jobs, but I don't take jobs. I felt like whatever I was going into, it had to be part of me, what I was naturally gifted in. And I had to have passion for it, not just getting up and slaving and laboring. My children would get sick and I would just know how to combine things together. But I got sick. And when I got sick and diagnosed with cardiomyopathy, it took my pharmacy to a whole nother level. I took a microbiology course and it took me through so many different things. And I was just like, wait a minute, I know that. Ooh, it does that. But when I really, really became confident in it and understood it more was when I got sick. I had to go through heart surgery. I've never been one person for doctors. I will go and get checkups and pap smears and different things that you take to make sure that you're taken care of. I wasn't one of them people that like a common cold would come. I already knew what to do. I wasn't going for a common cold. But major things I would go for to make sure I was healthy internally. After my heart surgery, I went from being a super mom, doing everything, having 2 jobs, going to school and taking care of my family and staying at home and having my 2 youngest sons have jobs and trying to finish high school and take care of 2 younger siblings. On that journey, I found out that I was spiritually connected to the earth in a way that, as you said, society shuns or make us feel guilty for, or have given false labels and false narratives of us being healers, midwives, shamans, wise women that we could go to and seek guidance from. As I started seeking more of my faith in my spirituality and developing it more, to see how I was going to go from being a healthy, well-capable woman to a woman that felt disabled and weak. And on that journey, it took me totally not where I thought I was going to go. It took me into reflecting. It took me back into my youth. It took me back into sitting in the kitchen with my grandma. It took me back into meditating. A lot of stuff came out. So I decided to take that spirituality and develop it more and take my pharmacy degree and add more into it. So I took a herbology course.
Wait,
It was just,
hold on a second. You actually had a pharmacy degree.
yeah, I do.
And you were working, that was the career that you had chosen.
Yes.
You felt like that was where you had passion and you had natural gifts. And then after,
I've always helped people. I've always raised everybody's children. Before I had children, my cousins and them, I had their babies. I always had this innate, intuitive way of helping, but not knowing what helping. I've always knew, like, when my cousin had a daughter, I was taking care of her. Her mom couldn't get her cold down, and she was taking her back and forth to the doctors. I was just like, that's not working. And she was like, well, what can? And I don't know how I know about eucalyptus, but I started steaming her, giving her eucalyptus steams and rubbing her down and stuff just like that. And then I started talking to my grandmom a little bit more, and I found out that my family was really into herbs. My grandma always made tinctures and salves and soaps and stuff like that. But me, I didn't pay that attention. To me, it wasn't like she was making something. To me, it was the normal thing of going on in my household because we lived in the country. So you always had a glass jar on the porch to make sure you had water left over in the jar to go out there to pour in there to make the well pump back out so you use the water. We always had silver bins. We always had live animals. You know, I never really was into pork and meat that much. I've always been a vegetable and fruits and like seafood person more than anything. I would eat chicken and turkey products, but it wasn't really me. After my taking a pharmacy and taking a microbiology course and doing a sample of making a medicine, I've realized that that's what I love to do. I've written all my life, so that was my outlet. So being an author was just part of the mix. But I became more confident in it when I started studying me. Who am I? What is the almighty purpose? Why? And people don't like me, but I don't care. I believe God is a woman and not a man. So I always believed that the feminine energy was the most powerful energy there was, and it was pushed aside because it dominated more. And we live in a narcissistic society that men don't show their emotions and all of that stuff like that. So I feel as though women like us was pushed in the background because we were too open, honest, giving, loving, and we saw it all. So as I went on my journey of finding what I was going to do with myself, like a single mom with 4 children, living in a very racist town, and being this complexion, which was trying. So I spent more time in God. in finding out who my God was. Not who society God was, but mine. On that journey, I was given formulas, literally formulas.
How were
First, it started.
how were they given to you? I'm really curious. When you say I was given formulas, did it come as
Some came in dreams. Some of them came in when I was writing. I wrote throughout the whole time. If I did not write, I would not be as mentally sound as I am right now. I'm a very highly empathic and very sensitive to all levels of energy and all levels of spirituality. My empathicness goes to a whole another level to where I have to literally isolate myself sometimes for months at a time because I pick up a tremendous amount of stuff, even if you're not here with me. So some of them came in dreams. A couple of times I was sitting in church listening to the sermon and picked up a notebook and started drawing. So sometimes I'll be writing and I'll be writing about something else, and then before you know it, I'll start turning to 3 pages, leaving 3 or 4 blank pages, and then I'll just start writing down instructions. I never paid it any attention. I would just write, then go back to my page of what I was writing. Slowly but surely, I started pulling out my writing because I decided I wanted to do a book, a poetry book. And I realized that I had serious instructions. I had color jars, what size and shapes they were supposed to be, where they were supposed to go, how they were supposed to be mixed, who they was given to. And I'm crying because this is like, for a society that we live in, a woman like me is considered to be a witch and damned and cursed for life. So for me to be talking to you right now with this confidence and this surety and making this, for me, these are tears of joy because I wasn't accepted in my family or in society. And then to be born with a melanated complexion and labeled as African American, and we're not even going to get into that, or Black, we're really not going to get into that because I hate labels. I hate labels. I see human beings. I don't see labels. I just feel as though I was kissed more by the sun than their most. That was it. I don't see label. I see people. I hate the culture that we live in to where we have to put everybody in a category and a label in some freaking stereotypical box. Why can't we just be? To love her and know her, be confident in her right now today, after 40 plus years, is a good thing for me. To be divine and spiritually inclined and in tune is the most beautiful gift in the world. To know yourself and to self-mastery yourself, and then to get connected to women like you, to get more knowledge, to get more tools, and to realize you have never been alone, for me, is a breath of fresh air. I became confident when I realized that third-party information caused me hell in my life. Labels caused me hell. Dogmas and stigmas caused me hell. And freaking superstition, generational freaking superstition. Holding on to generational and traditional things have caused many nations and cultures of people to be stuck in generational curses. We have evolved as a people. I understand that certain things have happened back in way before I was born, but I wasn't born there. So I can give 2 pennies rubbing together what went back in the day. Only thing I could go is from now. We have evolved as women. We have evolved as divine women. We have evolved as people, as a nation, period. So instead of me holding on to tradition, I choose to hold on to the heritage of being a divine feminine and finding out what that was, how did that work, and was it me? And did I fit in there? And lo and behold, before I even got to the course, she decided to take me on my own course. I had to learn me. I had to face me. I had to accept me. The herbs came in when I can't stand pills. I don't like pills. If I take something that makes me hallucinate or make me feel worse or give me a funny feeling I never had before, and then I go to you and I talk to you and tell you about this, and you're telling me this is just a side effect, or you give me another pill, then I feel like you're making me a lab rat. You're experimenting on me.
Yeah.
So I took my diagnosis and all my meds and broke them down to their metabolical state. What was they supposed to do? What was they supposed to aid in? And what can I do naturally for myself to take away all these chemicals that is literally killing me and deteriorating my heart and me as a spiritual being were? Because the society we live in tells us we're human beings having a spiritual experience, and that's a lie. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are all spiritual beings. We were all molded and created and approved before we was implanted into the vessels to come out in a physical form. We have rules, regulations, instructions, and the purposes and gifts in this life that has to be used in this life. And not no man can tell you that. It's a soul searching. It's a knowingness that you just know in yourself that you have to follow. And mine was so freaking loud, I had no choice but to follow. Because everything else I did, don't get me wrong, I achieved much. I've achieved much in my life. And the much that I achieved is gone. And I can literally say I'm so happy. Because in a little has given me so much more than I possibly thought I could get. I had to learn how to listen to me. Truly listen to me. If that, and not trying to be gross, some people think, my boob hurt, or nah, that's okay, there's such and such. That can be a cause of many different things. That could be a cancer, that could be a skin disorder, that could be a blocked duct, milk duct. That could be another organ in your body that's having a problem, and your breast is trying to filter out and show you different things. We as women, we are very sexual beings. And I'm going to say that, and many don't believe that. We are very sexual beings. And it doesn't have to be a physical sexuality. We are sexual beings from the crowns of our head to the soles of our feet. How we see things, how we breathe, how we eat, and how we live. And those things, when you take away the sensuality of us, you take away the essence of us, the innate, intuitive blueprint that's in us. When you push us to the side and put us in a corner and don't give us fresh air, water, plants, so all of that, we die. We literally, spiritually die. So I didn't die. I didn't want to walk around dead anymore.
Thank you. Hallelujah. Oh, thank you for choosing life and for listening to for going so deep inside to connect with that listening, because I feel like this is the medicine that everyone needs, that humanity is being led to right now. And often it does take, right?
Yeah. And I think it's an eye opener. If
Yeah.
people don't see spiritual, if they don't see the spiritual shifting, an effect that came before the pandemic, if you're looking at the virus, you're not looking at humanity. You're not looking at yourself. We was pushed inside with our families, and most people don't want to be with their family. Okay, my child is in school. Let me put this little child right here in daycare. Oh my God. Now you're dealing with all of your stuff. Mentally, you have to figure out how to balance your family and how to still be mentally sane in that. Physically, you got to figure out how to keep yourself physically active in the house and can't go outside too much. Soulfully, you feel like you dying because you want to be at that damn job than sitting in here. You want to be out there doing whatever materialistic ideology that you do, that you feel as though is worthy. And then you have to do something that most people don't do. You have to spiritually sit down with your damn self and your family. You have to soul search. You have to figure out how to balance your craziness.
And you know, for some people that had circumstances already, like yourself and like, you know, myself, I feel where we'd been placed in positions already numerous times where we had to do all those things that you just said. This is like, oh yeah, this again, right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Thank you.
Right? And so here we are, and we're like, okay, we're having a soul search again, and it's familiar. That's a familiar pathway. And yet, for many people who either had privileges or had ways of escaping it in one way or another, this is a big hardship. And if we remember back to when it was first required, it was more difficult than it is after years of experience. So I have a lot of compassion for folks where this might be a new imperative in our lives. And even for those of us who it's familiar, this is a bigger one. Like having everyone doing that at the same time is a big thing for us all to be feeling. And it's deepening for me, my imperative to look inside and to really feel myself, and deepening my process in my family with my husband and all of that in quite challenging ways. So I just feel like we're all in this together wherever we're at in that journey. And there's going to be some who still manage to escape it because they have enough privilege and you know, a big enough house and you know,
Yeah.
like that, that they can still go in the other room and away from themselves or whatever it is, or have privilege enough they can still fly around in their plane because they've got political power or whatever it is. And so but we can still come back to that place of compassion with ourselves and with humanity, and that's stretching all of us wherever to feel that. And so thank you so much for sharing about how these lessons in your journey, and I'd like to come back to the herbs and these recipes that would just come out in your writing before you even knew you were making recipes, with all these detailed instructions. And we've been talking about, and you've been hinting at me for quite some time now, that you had some recipes that were going to become available, and it sounds like for a period of time you were just making these recipes for your own healing and then perhaps for your family's healing process. And now it sounds like it's evolving into something that is something that you have to offer, and that you feel this calling of being able to offer recipes to more people. And so I'm curious how that transition happened. How did it become something that you're going to offer to the world? And what does that look like? What kinds of recipes are you getting ready to offer to the world?
For me, I'm offering them because I didn't have any. Like, you know how they say Judy. Like I have a Judy. Judy is a little Miss Judy is the one friend that when you don't have your family, you could talk to about everything and do everything with.
Right.
I didn't have. I
Okay.
found everything by myself because I came from a dysfunctional house. I had 2 drug addict parents, and so I learned everything the hard way. As I was sampling with my family, you was right because it started off with me first, and then it extended to my children, and then they've received theirs. Like, all right, now going to camera like, all right, stay out of that. That was not for you, and stuff like that. The process came about when my son came in one day, and he had a basketball game, and he's really gifted in what he's doing. Our children are very gifted. He's going to be in the NBA soon, and where I live at, he has been in every program possible ever since he was young. So he's well known in that area. He mentor young men, and he do all different type of stuff. So he get a lot of jealous clips, elbows, and pushes. And this one boy pushed him and clipped him and clipped him under his leg to a point to where it popped his hip out. And then he did it again to where my son's whole ankle was swollen too. Because when he landed, he clipped again, try to take him out. But I don't know, I have this weird way with my children that my son would be talking to me about basketball. I'll be like, learn this new thing right here. And he'd be like, well, mom, just learn it. Just entertain it for your mom for a minute. And he was like, mom, if I wouldn't have just dropped and rolled like you tell me to, just let it take its process, but make sure vital things, was not going to get messed up. He was like, I would have been messed up real bad. He came in and he don't like no doctors. So I was sitting there and he was telling me, and I was like, well, tell me what happened. And as he was telling me what happened, literally, I just got up in the middle of the conversation. I'm like, talk loud. And I just went in my cabin and I got some rosemary. I got some thyme. I got some peppermint and I got some chamomile. And I got a little bit of Epsom salt. And I think I had eucalyptus oil, essential oil. And I warmed them up some water. And I put them in there. So soak it and go. Then I made a little compress with some coconut oil, some menthol, and a little bit of sea salt, and I have raw shea butter, and I put a little bit in there just to like get it to thicken up a little bit so I can have like a little teeny like kind of paste, and I put that on them. I didn't know what I was doing. To me, in my mind, I didn't know what I was doing. And I did that for 3 days and told my son to relax. Then I checked his leg and his hip, and I popped it back in place. And then I just closed my eyes and let what naturally come. And in 3 days, my son was as if it was never messed up. He was fine. I said, oh shit. Oh, excuse me if I can't say that. But wait a minute.
Say whatever you say on this podcast.
Did I just really do that? Like, then I sat there and I would say, and I can actually say that your wound healing course, I can't get to, it just seems like right now it's meant for me just to do and not write and like not read. I've been trying my best to read and write and it's not happening. I've just been doing. So I'm in a doing flow right now. So I'm just going to just do like my spirit tell me, because I know I'm going to have a time where I'm being here for hours writing or drawing, because I had a whole drawing download at one point in time too. And I sat there, was like, well, I gotta pray on this because, let me just meditate a little bit. This is me meditating. That's how I was. My son was just looking at me like, Mom was wrong. And I was just like, to do it naturally is a good thing. But now I'm so in tune and aware, I scare myself. So I meditated. And I asked my ancestors, like, Who am I? What is my purpose? And why did you give me all these extraordinary gifts? And as they say, the fruits of the spirit, why would you give me a multitude of spiritualities and mantras and gifts where nowhere, no matter where I'm at in a spiritual environment, I'm welcome. I'm very welcome because I understand them all. Never read anything, never did it, just know. And I was given a word. She was like, you're a divine being, you're highly anointed. You're my most hidden treasure for these times and these moments. Your trials and tribulations wasn't in vain. Your hardships, your pains was to bring forth the gift. I put you on this earth not to die, but to live and live abundantly and freely, to set the captives free, to help the blind see and unite nations. You are many nations. I said, okay. Did I hate that? And lo and behold, I got the same words 2 hours later from my son. Exactly. I am more spiritual than most people. So earth for me is, when I see people throw paper on the ground, it just pisses me off. Or I see them cut a tree down, it's just, oh, I just want to jump on them and just hit them in their head. Because for me, it's just crazy. So I had that instruction. And then I went to a church with a friend of mine. He invited me to his church because I just wanted to be away from everybody and pray. And I walked in and I just sat down. And the pastor of that church told my whole life. The recipes come sometimes when my children come in as hurt. Sometimes they come in when I'm sick. And a lot of times they come in when I'm meditating. A whole lot. But they really come more with music and me being me. Like when I sit out in nature, I have this uncanny ability to just walk up to something and go like this. They'd be like, you're gonna die. And I would just say, nah, that's such and such. You know, my downloads come like I could be sitting here talking to you like you'll notice that I stop and go to the side because I have to stay focused on what you're saying because I'm totally getting a whole bunch of stuff right now as I'm speaking to you. And I'm trying to get it to where I can break it down because not all the time I get it in English.
What language do you get it in instead?
I get it in Arabic, Ubor, like UB is Yoruba is African. I learned that I pick up Egyptian stuff in a way to where I draw. So I have a lot of things they call sacred geometry that I drew for myself. Sometimes it's Spanish. And then sometimes it's just drums and my Native American ancestors come. So it's, how can I? Yeah, that's a good way to explain it. I spend a lot of time in quiet. my surroundings have to be quiet. So they come a lot. Right now I'm sitting here talking to you, and I'm not even gonna lie, I'm sitting up here with a recipe in my head right now.
Can you
So I'm
share
like,
with us? Can you share with us a little bit about the recipe or what it's about?
right now I'm thinking it's going to be for more of a balancing for women and emotions, because I have been on a 3-day emotional roller coaster. And normally I'll be going off to where they'll call it bipolarism, because I can't. It's sometimes it's hard for me to get it, but after time of being disciplined and taking courses and finding you and finding other women, but that's mostly you. That first wound healing when you said put your hand on your belly and close your eyes and talk to her and let her talk to you and just listen to what she says. Well, I listen to her a lot, and we as women take all our pain, our heartaches and stuff, and we push that down in there because that's the only place we can put it and still function in this world. But when you go down there and start talking to her, she starts taking the crap away, and you realize that was how men quiet us. So when I removed all of the rapes, the traumas, the heartaches, the pains, the insecurities, the doubts, the unsureties, she speaks, and she's a wild woman, and the recipe is another one. I just got, I don't know. This one is asking me to do something. I'm thinking this one is going to be probably for meditating, because I've been getting into meditation and I've been finding my ways that I normally use to be difficult. Because I go further than most people do, and I have to catch myself. So I have to set times or have designated things, or I have an oil burner or a counter or something going. And once that smell starts going low, I know I have to come out, because I could be there for hours. So
you're getting, it sounds like you're getting recipes in the moment, in the background, that are coming to you to address whatever's going on for you, but it also is, it sounds like it would be something that's going to be useful for anyone,
everybody.
everybody,
Yeah.
because you're feeling not just what's going on for you, but you're feeling what could be going on for many others.
For many other people. Like right now, I feel a lot of emotional sadness. I feel a lot of confusion. I feel a lot of people being depressed. I feel a lot of addicts that use the outside for outlets, not to drink or do their normal routine. They have to sit in now, and they have to think, and then sometimes that's not good. I feel a lot of women trying to figure out, like, okay, I'm here. I have these children. What the hell am I going to do with them? Type of thing. And then I feel some people who are just utterly sad and alone. There's a lot of people in this world that's so sad and alone. They don't have nobody. Some people believe in materialistic things and money and all this stuff makes the world go around, and now they're sitting at home with no one, just themselves and their thoughts. So my recipe started for me, but throughout time, I realized they're not for me. What I'm doing, I'm just a vessel I'm just a spiritual being that just came into this vessel for this time span and for whatever time I'm living on this life in this vessel to aid and help in a way that many people in this shell and culture would not do or talk about or open up to. Um, I'm open to everybody who is spiritually inclined and like-minded like me and who's on that level. And then for those that are not there, I'm there too. But I have to remember my heritage and my nationality and my culture, and I'm multicultural. So I just can't go for the Black race. I just can't go for the African American race. I have to go for all the diversities of myself, which is many. So that's why we're called many nations. But there's a lot of people in this world that don't love them, you know, and want to be who they are and who they was created to be, but many can't because of religious backgrounds and the society we live in. So I'm just a tester. I'm just a vessel that's testing out all the products for all of those who's assigned to me. I realized that I'm for everybody, but really not for everybody. I'm for a very exclusive, rare breed of people and a very exclusive, rare breed of women. Um, we that are put here to heal this earth and to inspire and uplift our people, our tribe, our soul family. Um, I have a family, but my soul family is completely different. And I have a few of them. And I thought my life is complete with my children. It wasn't. My soul family is fucking awesome. Um, to where my soul family fits, to where I don't ask for much. And I will struggle first before I ask anybody. I'm thinking you realize that too, because you have offered so many occasions, and I'm just like, let me figure this out. Let me get this done. I gotta get it done. It's not that I don't want the help. If I rely on people, I will not become consistent, effective, and effective in people's life, and I won't be able to do it with as much excellence and ease as I do it. I have to work out the kinks.
Yeah, it seems
I
to
have.
it seems to me you really heard some of my core messages around that, which is and you received my intention of not becoming somebody that you need to turn to every time there's a challenge or a struggle, but that I have ways, I have nourishment for your problem. And then I really admire and love how you've taken, you know, pieces of that nourishment that you need, and then you're making it your own, and you're integrating it and deepening it, and really creating that as a foundational place for yourself, that you can rely on inside of you, instead of always having to run back to me and say, well, what about this and what about that? And so I really want to commend you and admire you for that power of I really feel talking with you that you've taken some of the things that were new to you from me, that I had my medicine to share, and really integrated it into your medicine. And I'm really looking forward to seeing your medicine and how, because we mix our medicine together, right? I mean, how do we get new recipes but by mixing our medicine together?
Because I got some of your stuff. I'm getting there because when I come to you, I already know I was given instructions that I have to have a certain figure when I come to you. Because when I come to you, I'm coming for a lot, and you give a lot that women who would pay attention to, really, really would pay attention to, you give back the connection that was taken from the enslavement of our people, of women, period. So when you gave them nooks and crannies, it was just like, wait a minute, I'm not crazy. Like, all right, so I supposed to be doing this the whole time? Like, this was supposed to be the natural order of it?
Yeah, well, the listening to the womb, right? The womb listening. It's like my beginning.
And then the one day I was having a bad day and you came on there and you was dancing. I said, oh shit. Look at her throw that hair around and move them hips. Like, I thought I do that by myself. You know what I mean? I'm in here and I'll just look up and and the kids were like, I'll do something silly. And then I was like, wait a minute. She's taking us, oh, okay. When I saw you do that, it wasn't the dancing, it's what I received when it says you were spiritually giving yourself to the flow at that moment, at that time, allowing yourself to connect in a way that most women don't. Like, most of the time we dance for the entertainment of men or entertainment of just getting the hell out and socializing. But I dance in my household for me and my family to connect, for me and my children to connect on a whole nother level of being able to tune into them to understand them better. So when you did that, I was just like, wait a minute. I have the instructions in myself. I'm worthy of all of this. I just don't need to be scared of it. I need to tell society, fuck them. I need to tell men to eat a dick. I need to tell the slave masters, like, slavery is the fuck over. And I need to tell them out there, like, okay, if you want to call me a witch bitch, put Miss Witch Bitch on the front of it. Give me the handle. Because at the end of the day, who I am is not a witch. I'm just a natural earth person. I listen to the earth. I acknowledge the earth. I give her homage. Because that's where I came from. And if I don't go with the natural orders of where I was built from, then how the fuck am I going to do anything for anybody, or how am I going to make this world better? That's why we got people up here building so many different new technologies and stuff, because they don't know who the hell they are if they're not building some new to destroy something that's more beautiful. So for me, it was just all right, I'm going to be in here, I'm going to do it. Then I'm just like, wait a minute. I already know this. I just didn't know the label. I already did this, but I stopped because us as women, we always cater to everybody else outside of ourselves. The person I was with didn't like that. The person I was with was too different. So.
Right. So that validation of, oh, I already know this. I can listen to this voice inside of me that's guiding me. And what would my life be like if I actually saw that as a valid thing? If I actually listen, it sounds like you have all these ancestors that are communicating to you and wanting to give you their herbal recipes, recognize you, they're supporting your purpose in life. And if you can get over the initial invalidation of our society that says, all kinds of things about somebody who can hear Arabic and ancient Egyptian and Native American drumming and all of that, all at the same time, Spanish, all at the same time, giving you recipes. You know, there's stories in books about people like that, that this society
Yeah.
had,
We wasn't divided. And when we was brought on this earth, we all came from different nationalities and we spoke many different languages. And
right?
even though I spoke my language, you spoke yours, we all understood each other in our native tongue.
Right. And
All each other.
right. And so it's all within us, and having your experience validated of, oh, these are my ancestors. They have wisdom for me. And if I can navigate hearing their voices while functioning in life and getting those instructions down on paper and knowing how that's nourishing my purpose and how I'm going to be in service in the world, that's a beautiful thing. But it requires that validation to start with, of saying, you know what, I can listen, I can hear myself, I can be with myself, I can set it up so I have what I need to listen and validate, listen to and validate that inner voice, that inner guidance. And so I'm so glad that you're receiving that validation, because that's a core thing that I hope to transmit. And I'm so glad that I can.
You transmit it very well, because without that validation, you're not going to be a woman of virtue. You're not going to be a divine woman. You're not going to trust you.
Mm-hmm. If somebody doesn't have,
you're not going to love you. You're not going to listen to you. You're going to listen to everybody else and be just like I was. Third party information caused me hell. Hell. When I decided to stop listening to people, oh my God, if you pick up stones, it opens up gateways to demons. Okay, first and foremost, I gotta be somewhere where there's a bunch of damn demons. I gotta be a damn demon myself to open up a gateway to something. So, oh my God, Laile, you're putting all of this together and you're doing this. Yeah. Where you know that from? I just know it. Now I got everybody like, you gonna make me some teas?
they want some now.
Woo. Yo, ask mom, do such and such and such and such. And then I'm so scared to put that on my face. Come here, let me do it here. Now, you know, and it was just like, wow. So we wasn't built on a state of fear. So if we don't fear who we are, we won't be feared. Mm-hmm. But if we're going out there in a state of fear, with all that fear energy and doubt and energy and insecurity, we're going to bring all them vultures and them vampires right to us and just keep beating us down. But when you hold on to who you are and hear that validation and listen to her, people say stuff and I was just like, okay, that's how you see things. I'm happy for you, but this is me. You don't have to like it. You don't even have to love it, but respect it. And one lady was like, you're right. I have to. No. She was like, well, you're right. I will allow it. You don't no, you don't allow anything. You have to, because at the end of the day, I'm not you and you're not me and you're not my mom and you're not my bloodline. So I allow you to be you. I'm going to be me. I don't get where we decided to allow ourselves to be controlled. Like, where do we give up the rights to be free, roaming, free reign human beings? When did we give our life over to these I don't have a nice word to say right now. My mama told me if y'all nice to say nothing else. So I'm gonna keep that to myself until I find a liquid word. But these ignorant anuses.
Well, Laile, I want to just thank you so much for sharing your honesty, your vulnerability, your raw wisdom, and your appreciation for that core validation, and your devotion to that core validation for yourself. So I hope that listeners will be inspired by this, and I know I'm intrigued, and I hope listeners are also intrigued about your herbal formulas that you're getting ready. I guess you're making a website that's not quite ready yet to be
Yeah.
these herbal remedies that you've probably been sharing with your local community, but you're trying to get ready to have it
I,
for
yeah, I have a full selective amount of people at my Penn Street market. I'm close to a farmer's market. What happened was the herbs was supposed to start first, but the book blew up. So
so you
the book was I sent it out last year and for I ain't even gonna lie, I totally forgot about it because we was like it was driving us bonkers. I got it done in 6 months. And January this year I was just like, called my publisher like, what's going on with the book? And she was like, Laile, you have been published. I said, what? She sent me the link and I pushed the button like 6 times because I was waiting for it to just disappear. And it was published. So I took the book, kept promoting it, kept advertising, finding me different platforms. You know, right now I got a series that's coming up May the 3rd at 3:00 on Knowledge. I lead Born Knowledge radio station for my books and my herbs and upcoming different things that I will go through, which I've never thought that I would be doing that at all. Me talking, let alone talking to people and telling my business. I never thought I would do that because I'm a very private person. But the 4 women that I needed to pay homage to and respect that I said I wouldn't talk has passed. So I'm not gonna be quiet anymore. I started a website and building it up, and now I'm getting there. But if anybody need or want any herbs or want to communicate to me, you could do it via Facebook or my messenger if you want to. But I will tell you right now, I'm an email person. You could send me all information, questions, inquiries to LAIWILSOM as in Mary 1536 at gmail.com. It's called Sacred Water Intuitive Blends is the name. I have my cards, I have my logos. I'm getting my labels. The virus came in the middle of me getting all my labels done, so I have no labels now except for like a little teeny box that I promoted on the 27th of March, no, March 16th, when I debuted my debut at the farmer's market and being my first time as being a vendor with my herbs. The book is available as well. That's part of the journey too. I realized that the second book is a little bit more perplexed for me because I have to incorporate old and new and finding that flow and that balance. So I'm sitting still right now with a bunch of stuff in front of me, but the book has taken me further than I thought it would. And the herbs have taken me even further too than I thought it did now that I'm making stuff. So, you know, we tried our stuff. We got a couple of things going. I have 6 blends. I have one called Midlife Crisis, PMS. I have Level Up. I have debuffer. I have muscle relaxer. I have this anti-inflammatory one that's potent as I don't know what. You don't need too much. I haven't came up with a name yet because normally we'll sample them. I'll have a couple of people and sit down and we'll sample them and we'll start talking about how it make us feel and oh yeah, all of that. And then we'll come up with a name, and it hasn't even been like that in a while since the pandemic. So I have it here. So this time around, I have to literally sit still and figure out some names for myself. So I decided not to do that. I decided to make a couple of blends. I hadn't had a chance to talk to you, so I'm gonna just throw it out there now. Make a couple of blends, and maybe we can send them out to a couple of women in a group, and we all get on a Zoom and have tea talk.
Sounds fantastic. Tea talk. All right. So if you're interested in any of those things, if you're interested in tea talk with Laile, or any of the other things that she's been talking about, it's LAIWILSOM as in Mary, and then some numbers.
1536 at gmail.com. That is my email. I will answer you all the time. If it's an emergency situation, I will say, hit me on my messenger. You can inbox me on my messenger. Every day I go through my messenger to make sure to see if any type of messages or anything is coming in. And Sama could tell you that I don't be on Facebook as much as I normally used to, because now now that I'm an entrepreneur, an author, and healer, and mentor, um, I'm everywhere now. So right now, the pandemic is making me feel good because I literally get to sit in my house and clean my house. Not my house look like I just come in here, throw everything down, go to sleep, push all of this over in the corner, you know, and just like, I'm actually growing herbs in my home as we speak, in my bedroom.
Oh, nice. Well, listen, Layla, I could sit and visit with you all afternoon. It's really lovely to connect. Um,
Yes.
we will need to wrap up the podcast episode here. So listeners, if you're wanting to connect with the Womb Centered Healing Temple, as usual, if you've listened before, you know you can always go to wombcenteredhealing.com. If you have any trouble getting a hold of Layla, don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I'll make sure that you get in touch with her. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. That's all for the podcast for now. Until next time.